Lines and angles from grade 7. Let's start off with what is an angle. An angle is formed when two lines meet up at a point called the vertex. So two lines meeting up at a point is called as an angle. This point is called the vertex, and these lines are called the arms of an angle. The arms of an angle. So an angle is formed when two arms meet at a point called the vertex. And you show the angle like this. The next topic is types of angles. There are mainly 6 types of angles. Starting off with this particular angle. So in this angle, the area, this is called as the angle. So this angle is less than 90 degree. If you measure this angle with a protractor, you get the value less than 90 degree. So any angle whose degree, this is how you represent degree, this is called theta. Any angle whose theta is less than 90 degree, it is called an acute angle. An acute angle. Next is a right angle. A right angle is when theta is exactly equal to 90 degree. And you represent 90 degree like this. This is how you represent a 90 degree. Then this angle. This is when, so this is a right angle triangle, okay? Right angled triangle. This is when theta is in between 90 and 180. So this is when the theta is larger than 90 degree but lesser than 180 degree. And this angle is called as the obtuse angle. This angle is when theta is exactly equal to 180 degree, and you represent it like this, 180 degree, and this is called as the straight angle. This is when the theta is greater than 180. And this such kind of angles whose theta is greater than 180, we call it as the reflex angle. And an angle whose theta is equal to 360 degree is called as a complete angle. So the only exception is for right angle, when the angle is shown like a small square corner. Next is the difference between complementary and supplementary angles. So if this is an angle and there is a line passing through the angle with any measurement, and this is angle A and this is angle B. So what is the difference between complementary and supplementary? When angle A plus angle B is equal to 90 degree, if this is exactly 90 degree, then this is called as a complementary angle. But on the other hand, if angle A plus angle B is equal to 180 degree, this is called as a supplementary angle. So all angles, the angles whose sum is equal to 90 degree, we call it as complementary, and angles whose sum is 180 degree, we call it supplementary angles. So for example, if this was 60 degrees and this angle was 30 degrees, then which angle would that be? It will be 60 plus 30, which is equal to 90. So comment down which angle it is, if it is. The next topic is linear pair and vertically opposite angles. So firstly, let's talk about linear pairs. Suppose there is a line and there are two angles. So this is angle number or angle A and this is angle B. So Two angles on a straight line which forms 180 degree is called a linear pair. So A plus B is equal to 180 degree. When A plus B is 180 degree in a straight line, we call this as linear pair. Then what is vertically opposite angles? When two lines, suppose this is a line and this is another line, and the line crosses the other line. When a line crosses the other line, four angles are made. Let's name them A, B, C and D. When four angles are made when two lines cross over each other, the opposite angles are equal. So A is equal to D and B is equal to C. This is because they are vertically opposite. So angles that are made when two lines cross each other and whenever they are in the opposite sides, they are equal. This is vertically opposite angles. Now, the next topic is angles with parallel lines and transversal. So let's draw parallel lines. Now, any line that intersects both the parallel lines is what we call as a transversal. So this is the transversal, while these are parallel lines. Now, with this concept, there are many angles, namely three. Number one is corresponding angles. So what are corresponding angles? So for learning the angles, let me name the angles. Let this be A and then B, C and D, and then E, F, G as well as H. Okay, now what are corresponding angles? Angles that are found in the exact location where the transversal and the parallel line meets up. So in this diagram, B and F are corresponding, A and E are corresponding. How did I get that? B and F are found in the exact same location. That is, when transversal meets the parallel line, the F angle as well as B angle is found towards the right side of the transversal. So B and F are corresponding. So from this diagram, B is equal to F, and then A is equal to E. Likewise, D and H are corresponding and C and G are corresponding. So this is about corresponding angles, and all corresponding angles are equal. The next type of angle is alternate angles. So what are alternate angles? Just like the name, opposite. Alternate means opposite. So what do you mean by opposite? A and C. A and C are opposite to each other. B and D, E and G, and F and H. So A is equal to C. C is equal to A. Okay, D is equal to B, and then E is equal to G, as well as F is equal to H. All alternate angles are also equal. So corresponding angles are equal, alternate angles are equal. The third type of angles are co-interior angles. So what are co-interior angles? Co-interior. Just like the name tells, interior. Interior means inside. So what are the angles that are on the inside of this diagram? D, C, E and F. They are on the inside. So D and E. D and E are co-interior. C and F are co-interior. So D is equal to E and C is equal to F. When corresponding is equal and alternate are equal, co-interior angles, they are not equal, but their sum adds up to 180. So D plus E and C plus F gives us 180 degrees. So corresponding angles are equal, alternate angles are equal, and co-interior angles, sum adds up to 180. The final topic is angle sum property of a triangle. So firstly, let's draw a triangle. Whenever you draw a triangle, you need to name the sides. So let this be 3 angles, angle A, angle B, and angle C. So this is a triangle with 3 angles. Angle sum property tells us that all the angles inside a triangle, that is A, B and C, their sum will be 180 degree. So angle A plus angle B plus angle C is equal to 180 degree. This is about angle sum property of a triangle. How will questions come from this property? For example, they might tell angle A is 50 degrees and angle C is 60 degrees. Then find angle B. Whenever there is no value given, take that as x. So that will be 50 degrees plus B is x plus C is 60 degrees. So 60 degree is equal to 180 degree. We know the sum of all the angles will be 180 degree in a triangle. And then take 50 plus 60. 60 plus 50 will be 111 degrees. 110 degrees. And then plus 6 will be 180 degree. And then take the 110 to the other side, that is x is equal to 180 minus 110, which will give us 70 degrees. That's how we find the third angle. So this is 70 degrees. This is how questions will come for the exams. The most common mistakes students do in this chapter are confusing complementary as well as supplementary angles, and then forgetting that vertically opposite angles are equal. Remember that they are always equal. And then mixing up alternate and corresponding angles. Do not mix it up. And also using the angle sum property in the wrong way. Make sure you know this formula. Next, let's try a few practice questions just so that we can brush through all the topics. Okay, this is the first question. 2 angles are complementary. So first of all, they are complementary. One is 35 degrees Celsius, then find the other angle. So complementary angles are those angles whose sum is equal to 90 degrees. So let's take 2 angles. So the first angle, let's take it as 35 degrees. So 35 degrees plus, let's take the unknown angle as x. We know complementary angles are 90 degrees. So which is equal to 90 degrees. So 35 goes to the other side. And then x will be 55 degrees. Because when 35 goes to the other side, it will be 90 degrees minus 35 degrees, which will give us 55 degree. The next question is, if one angle in a linear pair is 120 degrees, find the other angle. So again, 120 degrees is given and the other keyword is linear pair. So what is a linear pair? 2 angles resting in a straight line, and the straight line will always be equal to 180 degrees. So one angle is 120, then we need to find the other angle. So just like the other question, we'll take 120 degree plus x. X is the unknown angle. So x plus 120 degree is equal to 180 degree according to the linear pair. And then take 120 to the other side. So x will be equal to 60 degree, as this will be 180 minus 120, which leads us to 60 degree. So this is how questions will be coming from this chapter. The important topics are linear pair, complementary angles, co-interior, alternate angles, as well as angle sum property. So make sure you brush through all this topic. If you want, rewatch the video, and if this video helped you to understand this chapter,